Alrighty, welcome back everybody to another core set cube draft. Now, I see several things here. I was reviewing the archetypes because it's been a while since I played, and I've only played one. We have white-blue control, blue-black reanimator, black-red sacrifice, red-green ramp, green-white enchantments, black-white life gain, black-green mid-range, green-blue control value, blue-red spells, and red-white go wide. In this pack, Open the Vaults is like a huge, huge enchantments payoff. Ostracize is a powerful 1-mana discard spell that can go on a few different decks. There's also Zombify if I want to go Reanimator, which is blue-black. I think I'm going to take Reign of Revelation. That fits in like Control, it fits into Reanimator, a few different things. It also fits into spells, so we'll see what happens. Okay, now we have, let's see, Quicken. There's Intruder Alarm. Intruder Alarm being one half of the Krenko Kiki combo that exists in this format. I kind of like that. I'm seeing a lot of red right now, though. I mean, I can try and cut blue, because there's only one other blue spell in this pack, and it's Quicken, which not a lot of people frequently take. One other thing that I remember is there was some pretty strong tribal scenarios going on. I think I'm going to try taking Intruder Alarm and seeing if we can't find a Krenko. Okay. I like Nexus of Fate. At the beginning of your upkeep, opponent mills 3 cards, then you draw a card for each land put in the graveyard this way. This is an excellent control finisher. Let's see, Seething Song. Seething Song was in a core set? It was in the 9th edition? Interesting. I didn't know that. Claustrophobia is a great answer. I think I'm going to go with Nexus. Okay. Now, in this pack, we have Sword of the Animist, which can fit in several different decks. If we were doing blue-black Reanimator, Embodiment of Agonies is probably the way to go. Red-blue spells, there's Magnivore. Blue-white Control, I would probably take either Sword or Aura of Silence. Angelic Destiny is very strong. It does not grant lifelink, though, which is for some reason I thought it did. I think I'm going to take Sword of the Animist just because it fits in basically any deck that I would like to play. That plays, you know, somewhat cheap creatures or has any early creatures at all. If I was going to play Control or Flyers, we have Sephara, Sky's Blade. There's Gideon's Lawkeeper, which is also an excellent control spell, and also Mu Yunling. I mean, this is basically a 3-mana Sarah Angel, like in its worst mode, and we're already heavy blue. So I think I will take the 3-mana Planeswalker. That's very good. And we have Force Spike. Force Spike would be the absolute ultra safe pick here. Enigma Drake tells me that blue-red spells might be open. And I was kind of thinking about doing red as my other color because we do have Intruder Alarm, so if we can find Krenko, we have the combo. Chandra's Ignition is a somewhat strong removal spell board wipe and burn spell, but it is double red. I think I will take Enigma Drake, maybe Force Spike Wheels. We'll see. I would consider playing a Force Spike. There's Basri Cat. Whenever one or more non-token creatures attack this turn, create that many white soldiers that are tapped and attacking. There's another really cheap Planeswalker. A couple of good blue board wipes. So blue-white Control looks like it's probably open. Question is, do I want Evacuation or Aether Spouts? Aether Spouts is a lot more punishing for an aggro deck. Both of them are good. I think I'm going to take the Aether Spouts. Aether Spouts can be like a real strong gotcha spell. First off, I just want to say that I love Trading Post. I think the card's great. Gains you life, draws you cards, does a whole bunch of crazy things. Mangara, whenever an opponent attacks with creatures, if 2 or more of those creatures are attacking you and or planeswalkers you control, draw a card. Whenever opponent casts their second spell each turn, draw a card. That just seems insane for 4 mana, but so is Spectral Sailor, because it's a flash threat. It's also something that can wield sword very easily. I think I'm going to take the Sailor, but Mangara is a strong consideration. Baron came all the way around. Return up to 1 other creature or planeswalker to its owner's hand at the beginning of the end step. If a permanent was put into your hand from the battlefield this turn, draw a card. There's also Angelic Ascension, which we could use to upgrade our Spectral Sailor into a very early 4/4. We could use it as removal for a planeswalker in turn, like an emergency. I think I'm going to stick with Baron. We're staying very safe kind of in blue here for the moment. Don't really have any sorceries yet, but Quicken just being a cantrip is probably worth it. So, options now are Seething Song or Rock's Faithmender. Probably won't play Grand Abolisher, though. Seething Song we could put in the blue-red spells deck. Let's take Seething Song. Rituals can break other cards relatively easily. I will take Aura of Silence. I don't think we'll be playing any sort of reanimation deck. I think our backup plan is to play Blue-White Control. Yeah, I'm going to take Force Spike because it's slightly more playable for us than the other spell was. Even though Devouring Light is like technically a way stronger spell. Alright, pack 2. Okay, if we're going to play blue-red spells, we have Volcanic Hammer, which is a strong burn removal spell. There's also Exquisite Firecraft, it's just double red, which we have no fixing as of yet. There is a clone, but we don't have anything really worth cloning yet. Hangerback Walker is nice. Could go in pretty much any part of the deck. I think I am going to take Volcanic Hammer. Exquisite Firecraft, like I said, is stronger, but we want burn spells for removal. And I think that's what our deck is currently leaning towards. Ooh, Frost Titan. Do love me some Frost Titan. There's also a Nicol Bolas, which is just a good attrition creature that flips into a massive planeswalker. We would definitely have to prioritize fixing if I take Nicol Bolas here. We could splash him pretty easily. There's also Persuasion, which is just a very strong effect. Like, any mind control effect is pretty ridiculous. It kind of doubles as a threat as well as a removal spell. Frost Titan or Nicol Bolas might come around. I think I'm going to take Persuasion. We don't really have any good finishers other than Enigma Drake and our Planeswalker, though. Frost Titan's kind of removal stapled on a threat that's hard to remove, but yeah, I think Persuasion is stronger, so I'm going to take Persuasion. Stormwing Entity is good. I think this is the pack we take Lightning Strike. I could take Solemn Simulacrum because Sad Robot is just very strong. Generator Servant is kind of fun because it can upgrade our mana very quickly for something, but we don't have anything in this range that we'd want to like turbo out. I think we're better off just taking burn spells as removal for control purposes. Jace Bellerin, there's Bribery. Bribery saying that we can just go get our opponent's best creature. I would not mind Jace, because just getting 3 mana for 3 cards is good. Harbinger of the Tides can technically be removal. There's also Remove Soul, which is very strong, I think, in limited formats, just answering a creature for 2 mana. But we only have... I mean, a lot of what we have is instant speed, and we do have a Force Spike. Bribery might technically be the pick, but I don't know what other... it's not like it's Vintage Cube where everyone's playing Emrakul. I do like Time Warp, because we do have Nexus of Fate. It's kind of doing Time Warpy things in blue is fun. Mind Spring is cool. Underground River we could take. I definitely would take Underground River had I taken Nicol Bolas, but I'm going to take Time Warp. There's a Sleight of Hand, which I do like. Unleash Fury is fine. What does Beacon of Destruction do? 5 mana, 5 damage at instant speed to any target, shuffle back in. That's actually really sweet. I kind of like taking the cantrip, though, because I want to be able to potentially trigger prowess on creatures and stuff, because I know there's going to be a few of them. And I like having access to some powerful cantrips in a blue-red spells-like deck. There's an Opt and Opportunity, but I think we take Teferi here. Teferi also fits our Time Warp plan, which I like. Hopefully Opt comes around, though I doubt it will. Time Stop. Oh my gosh, we can go full Zawarudo on them. Oh man. And there's a Reverberate. Alright, I'm taking the Time Stop. We're going full meme Time Warp deck. I guess out of these cards I will take Clone. Nicol Bolas came all the way around. I will take Nicol Bolas. We might be able to splash him. Ambassador Loquatus. I don't know how to pronounce that. Or Stormwing Entity. Probably take Stormwing Entity. Harbinger of the Tides or Jace Bellerin. Harbinger is a creature. I think we got to take Harbinger. We have like 3 good Planeswalkers already. We're going to need stuff that sticks on the board. I'll take Mind Spring. Phantasm's okay. Smallpox, love you Smallpox, this is not the deck for you. Okay, so we're on the lookout for fixing. Things like any other like negates or 2-mana counters we can get that are good. I would like to take Mind Stone here. I also think Chandra is great, but Dungeon Geist is pretty ridiculous in the limited. We don't have a lot of cheap spells that are fantastic to flashback, otherwise Chandra would be super good. So we're going to go with Dungeon Geists. There is big Nicol Bolas. I love Flood of Tears. Flood of Tears is a deck that you need to have very specific stuff to work, though. I think I take Memory Lapse here, because we are trying to play Sword of Controlling, and Memory Lapse is sort of like a time walk. It's very much like a remand. Dragon's Horde or Terramorphic Expanse is great, but I'm not even sure that we're going to play Nicol Bolas. So we'll take Memory Lapse. Oh, I love Chandra the Firebrand. In a deck like ours, the downtick Reverberate cast Time Warp is the absolute dream. So we're absolutely going to take her. Kind of giving up on Nicol Bolas by not picking any fixing. But, you know, what can you do, right? Okay, I love Talrand. Talrand definitely contributes to all of our blue spells. Let's see, Sarkhan the Fireblood actually fixes for Nicol Bolas, but he's difficult to cast. He loots, though, which is great. I would not mind Young Pyro, Searing Spear, but I think taking Talrand is better. At this point, I might even be able to go mono blue, or very close to it. Experimental Overload is a great finisher for the blue-red spells deck, but because we have so many Time Walk effects, like we have Time Stop, Nexus of Fate, Time Warp, I think I'm going to take Shipwreck Dowser, because I want to be able to buy back some of those spells. It also can like help finish the game, potentially. Trade routes can help us cycle through our deck, which is what it has auto-selected at the moment. Just discarding extra lands to draw cards would feel good, but that might be a little ambitious. Chandra's Phoenix, a little hard to cast. Mirror Image is a clone effect for our complete lack of creatures. I actually think I take trade routes. Sublime Epiphany just does everything. Equilibrium, whenever you cast a creature spell, you may pay 1. If you do, return a creature to its owner's hand. If I had more creatures, Equilibrium would be amazing. Dissipate and Rewind are both fine, too. I think I'm going to take Sublime Epiphany, though, because like it's so strong. Omniscience! This is one of my favorite cards of all time. And there's a Flood of Tears in this pack, actually. Ooh. I'm going to take Omniscience for the dream. Even though this is definitely not not what we should be doing. Displacement Wave is great. Flood of Tears, it came around. Perfect. We have no mana rocks. Which is what this would be best with, but oh man, if we could make this work. Yeah, I'm going to take Flood of Tears. Pyromancer's Goggles is technically a mana rock, and we do have some red spells. It's probably better to take Ratchet Bomb, because I don't even know at this point if I'm running red. I lose like all of my threats if I don't. Yeah, alright, we'll take Pyromancer's Goggles. I'm going to take Searing Spear, because I think we do need removal for stuff on board, and the burn spells are the best way to do that. Triskelion, I think, is a little ambitious. I like Experimental Overload. We'll take a card I'm not going to play, and we'll take a card I'm not going to play. Alright, time to separate the dreams from the memes. Let's take a look at what we're doing here. We're not playing Nicol Bolas, unfortunately. We probably don't need the clone. Probably not playing Jace's Phantasm. And I like Sleight of Hand, Quicken, and Force Spike. Because quickening a Time Warp on my opponent's end step is a reality that can occur. I'm going to drop Trade Routes for now. I like keeping the counter spells and the removal and the sword. Sword might be a bit ambitious because we don't have that many creatures at all, but I mean, come on, how else we get into Omniscience, right? I think I am going to drop Seething Song. I'm going to drop Mind Spring. Man, I need to cut 10 cards. I like the big blue crazy spells aspect we have going on right now, but I think I'm going to cut Pyromancer's Goggles, because while doubling up on a Experimental Overload or Burn spell would be great, I think it's probably not going to be super easy to do that. a lot of our creatures can answer other creatures temporarily by bouncing them, or in Dungeon Geist's case by locking them down. I like our Planeswalkers a lot. I think I do have to cut Sword of the Animist. Oh, we're not playing Intruder Alarm. I don't know what that's doing in the deck. Fortunately, we did not see Krenko. We do not have that many permanents, so it's possible that Flood of Tears like never actually turns on, but it is a board wipe at its own right, and there's a possibility that we should be playing that. I think Displacement Wave is going to be more situational, so I'm going to drop it into the sideboard, but it is very good. Aether Spouts is much the same way. I think I can't just cut all of my board wipes, but I think Flood of Tears is probably my best one because it gives us something to do if we bounce 4 or more of our own permanents. But like the only things that we have are permanents are Spectral like our creatures and our like 3 planeswalkers, and returning 4 of 10 cards or 11 cards to our hand is kind of reaching, which means I probably should not be playing Omniscience, but I'm still gonna. I could cut Sleight of Hand and Volcanic Hammer because they are sorceries, and the majority of our other interaction is at instant speed. But I don't want to cut any cantrips, and I really don't want to cut any burn spells. I think I have no choice but to cut some of the like 5 and 6 mana stuff that's going on here. I'm going to cut Raid of Revelation. No, actually I'm not. I'm going to cut, I don't want to cut Omniscience. I really don't want to cut Omniscience, but I need to cut like 5 cards still. Alright, I'm going to cut Force Spike, Volcanic Hammer, Experimental Overload, and Baron can bounce Planeswalkers. Harbinger of the Tide can be cast with Flash. Too bad we don't have a Wish effect of some kind. I don't think there were any of those in core sets, really. Yeah, alright, we'll cut Omniscience. We'll see how slow our deck is versus other decks. I think if I cut Omniscience, I can run 16 lands. Even though we curve out kind of high, we do have a couple of cantrips. No mana rocks, though. Maybe I can just run 41 cards. People will yell at me, but we do draw a number of cards. Maybe I should. It's not like we're worrying about decking out because we do have Nexus of Fate or anything like that. So, okay, you know what? We're going to try this Abomination as is. Let's go. Alright. We would love to play first. I will keep. We have Remove Soul for whatever our opponent's first threat is that doesn't cost 1 mana. Okay. Play an island, pass the turn. Okay, they start Adarkar Wastes, so they're probably a control deck. Play an island, pass. There might be a lot of this going on. Opponent flashes a Spectral Sailor, and I was F6'd. For all of you in the comments, that's what we call a punt. Leonin Sky Hunter. Okay, so this is probably blue-white flyers. In that case, we are slightly better off than we were. I'm going to play Baron just because it forces my opponent to replay a 1-drop. Our opponent casts a Sleight of Hand. They're probably looking for lands, and if they are, it means this Baron was excellent. Just bouncing a 1/1 was great. Okay, they play a Fairy Conclave tapped, so they will not be able to play their Spectral Sailor this turn. Play an island. I think I am going to main phase this Reign of Revelation. Oh yes. Discard Nexus of Fate, put it back in the deck. Next turn, we got options. Like, we can play Spectral Sailor and draw a card, or we can play Muyan Ling and then play Spectral Sailor. Opponent Barons our Baron. We could Baron their Baron. We also drew Time Stop. I think the plan is to play Muyan Ling, plus on Baron, pass the turn, and I think I'd flash my Spectral Sailor to block theirs. They play Fabled Passage. They go to combat, attack Muyan Ling. So we flash our own Spectral Sailor. Offer to trade. They draw a card. Okay. If that's the best they got, we're going to shrink their Baron again and then time stop whenever they cast a spell. Oh man. Oh, I like how this deck is shaping up right now. Play a Mountain. Uptick on Baron. We might actually ult a Mu Yanling. We're not replaying Baron, so our opponent might be very suspicious, but we wouldn't want to Baron their Baron anyway, because then they could Baron and bounce Mu Yanling. Okay, opponent cracks Fabled Passage. I could time stop right now, that'd be fun. Deny them a land. But I think it's better to wait for them to get a land and play a spell. Especially if it's a 5-mana spell. Oh, Fairy Conclave, okay. Well, we will wait for them to attack. I have bad news for you, opponent. Za, Warudo! Toki wo Tomare. Okay, we untap, we draw an island. So play an island. Uptick on Baron. And I think we just play to Fairy now. Because we could even phase out a attacking. Did I play a land this turn? I did play an island, though I do want another one. I think I discard Baron. No, I discard Stormwing Entity. Alright. Pass the turn. If I ult her, I think the game is over. Okay, opponent untaps. They play a Temple of Triumph. I've never, ever, ever gotten this emblem. Okay. Opponent animates a Fairy Conclave. Goes to combat. Attacks her. Phase it out. If they have a burn spell, they have to throw it at her because they lose, I think, almost instantaneously if they don't. Because we're just going to draw like 5 cards every turn. Oh yeah, this is happening. Alright, we're gonna go ahead, draw a card. Draw a card. Okay, I do like that. Then we're gonna play Baron. Bounce to Fairy to our hand. Pass the turn, leave up Memory Lapse, and draw a card on our end step because of Baron. Then we're just going to start casting Nexus of Fate. And drawing cards. This deck is sick. I mean, my opponent's deck has way better mana fixing than mine and probably has less on-theme spells, but I just picked like every broken large blue spell I could find. Okay, opponent animates Fairy Conclave, goes to combat. They attack for 2 in the air. That's fine. Okay, on my opponent's end step, we'll draw 2 cards. Oh man, Time Warp, Shipwreck Dowser. Seems good. And Chandra. Alright, play an island. We have 9 mana. We're gonna go ahead and cast Nexus of Fate with Memory Lapse backup. Go to combat. I will attack for 2. Opponent trades. I suspect they don't have any counter spells, or they would have countered that, so we're probably good to go on our other plan. Untap. We draw Harbinger. Play Chandra. The cool thing about Chandra is if she resolves, she actually makes a copy, so my opponent would need 2 counter spells. So we just time stretched. Oh, that's so good! That was amazing. I could totally play Omniscience versus a deck like my opponent's. Absolutely. But I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm actually fine set up the way that I am. And I know that ulting Mu Yanling was probably not that likely. It was most likely that my opponent was just in a situation where they couldn't draw like a second answer. Because had they had like another creature at any point along there, that game probably would have gone a very different way. Alright, we got a mulligan, because we do need islands. This hand is great. I will put back Flood of Tears, though. Start off with a cantrip, then we have a Memory Lapse, potentially a Harbinger of Tides after that. Okay, opponent starts Fabled Passage, so there will be no Spectral Sailor or 1-mana play this turn. They get a Mountain. Draw an island, which is great. Start Sleight of Hand. At this point in time, I think I'm going to take the island. The Persuasion is fine, but... Okay, opponent plays a Sky Knight Vanguard. Draw Teferi, Master of Time. This creating soldiers is really annoying. We can at least unsummon it for a turn, though. And we potentially can deal with a soldier with, like, Chandra Uptick. They attack us for 2, that's fine. We'd really want them to play a spell this turn, so we can memory lapse it. That's as good as any. Making them redraw this is very punishing, especially after a mulligan. We draw a Lightning Strike, which I do like. Play an island. Cast Harbinger. We will unsummon Sky Knight Vanguard. Okay, pass the turn. When it replays Vanguard and plays a Merfolk Looter, we untap. Draw a mountain. Play a mountain. Play Chandra. Uptick to kill the Looter. Pass the turn. No attacks. The opponent will probably attack Chandra with everything because Chandra represents a persistent threat. We could uptick to kill a token and then lightning strike the Vanguard next turn. But it also depends on if my opponent has any other threats they can play this turn. We can block and kill one of the tokens if they attack with both. Okay, opponent plays Baron. Makes us pick up Chandra. They don't want us to downtick and then, like, Time Warp. They don't attack. We draw Time Warp. Okay. I think replaying Chandra is still the thing to do here, because if we can downtick on Time Warp, that's amazing. Plus, it does let us answer a token. Okay, pass the turn. Like, I used to do this trick in actual constructed Modern. Play Chandra, wait a turn, downtick Time Warp, go off. Like, opponent attacks Chandra. We will trade. We really, really want to protect her. Okay, we untap, draw a mountain, play a mountain, downtick Chandra, Time Warp ourself. So really what they would need is like a Reverberate or a Twin Cast or a Misdirection Redirect effect to put one of the Time Warps on themselves. Okay, so we're going to take 2 extra turns here, and we are about to land a Teferi. Okay, go to next turn. We untap, draw a mountain. Play a mountain, play Teferi, uptick Teferi, and loot. We even have another turn in queue after this. How crazy is this? I think I found my new favorite, like, limited deck of all time. Just blue-red Time Warps. I haven't checked chat. They haven't typed to me. Is my opponent rage quitting, or are they thinking about casting a spell? Alright, we loot into a time stop. So I'm going to discard Lightning Strike. Uptick Chandra on our opponent. Next extra turn. Time stop, we can just time stop them at their upkeep. This spell has the record for least amount of text and most amount of reminder text, by the way. Last I checked, it might have been broken, but that's not likely. Okay, loot with Teferi. Discard Spectral Sailor. Downtick Chandra. Cast Nexus of Fate, take 2 more turns. Oh man. Brutal. They're gonna mana leak our Nexus of Fate, and we're only gonna get 1 extra turn. I mean, we still get an extra turn. Oh, this is fantastic. Flood of Tears. What I imagine is happening for our opponent right now is a Flood of Tears. Alright, uptick Teferi. Discard... I think we discard Flood of Tears. Pass the turn. Stop on my opponent's upkeep. Gotta make sure we uptick Teferi first. Discard Baron. Cast Time Stop. They don't even get to draw a card. Untap. We draw Stormwing Entity. Loot with Teferi. Shipwreck Dowser. There is a Time Warp in the grave. We discard Stormwing Entity. Uptick Chandra. Ping our opponent. Play an island. Play Shipwreck Dowser. We either pick up Time Warp or we pick up Lightning Strike. If I pick up Lightning Strike, odds are my opponent can't do anything. I think that's technically safer, so we're going to do that. Lightning Strike the Sky Knight. Okay, pass to my opponent's turn. My opponent's only had 4 or 5 turns. Yeah, I was going to say, we just took like 6 turns in a row. That was amazing. New favorite limited deck. All time. I'll see you guys in round 2. Hopefully we can do that again. That was sweet. Alright. Round 2, here we go. This hand has so much of our early interaction, and we're on the draw. If it had an island, like if this time stop was an island, I think this would be our ideal opener, actually. I'm going to mulligan, though, because I do need more opening mana than that. We're going to put back Shipwreck Dowser. Opponent starts Forest. Mana Dork. Okay, play an island, pass the turn. They're either going to tap the Mana Dork or attack with it next turn. So we should be able to at least unsummon that. Ah! Elvish Archdruid. That will likely be a problem. So, unsummon Elvish Mystic. Pass the turn. We are against a tribal elf deck. And with one of their best openers, which is Mana Dork into Archdruid. Did my opponent play anything else? Because if so, that's scary. 3 mana, they have a Blanchwood Armor. Okay. We draw a mountain, so play a mountain, pass the turn. They play a forest. They go to combat, they hit us for 6, that's fine. And what else do they have? Something that costs 4. 5 mana. Coat of Arms. Each creature gets 1/1 for each other creature on the battlefield that shares at least 1 type with it. Oh my god. Okay, play an island. I really want to lightning strike that Elvish Archdruid. But I think playing Teferi here is slightly better. The possibility exists for us to like Searing Spear Stormwing Entity. We are going to uptick Teferi now. We draw an island. I do need a land. So I think I have to discard either Sublime Epiphany or I have to discard Chandra. I think Chandra is slightly better than Sublime Epiphany from this point. Pass the turn. No attacks. We'll leave back a blocker. We should be able to phase out an Elvish Mystic. Okay, opponent plays a land. We're just really hoping they don't play another elf this turn. Okay, phase out Elvish Mystic. So their Archdruid gets +2/+2 and trample. They kill Teferi. No blocks. Until its controller's next turn. Okay. So we draw island. Play an island. Searing Spear Archdruid. Cast Stormwing Entity. Oh, I could have done that last turn. For some reason I thought it costs 3 instead of... It was probably a better way to go than what I did, but... Quicken Island both to... Well, Quicken could actually draw 2 cards off of Chandra, and our opponent's creature doesn't have trample. I think we still have better spells that we can draw, so we'll put both of those to the bottom. Pass the turn. This won't have Summoning Sickness when it comes back, so I do want to block with Harbinger of Tides. Okay, they play a land. And a Fauna Shaman. They attack us for 8. So we chump. Fauna Shaman is scary. We untap. Draw a mountain. Play a mountain. Play Chandra. Prowess trigger. Ping our opponent. There's always the chance that my opponent ignores Chandra because we only have 1 card in hand. But But right now, as long as they don't play another elf, she should survive, and the opportunity exists for us to top deck like Time Warp into Nexus of Fate, which definitely would be a way that we could get back in this game. We could draw like Flood of Tears. 6 mana is very scary. Voracious Hydra. So Chandra is gonna die. Yep. Stormwing Entity down. When it goes to combat, they might just attack us though. They attack Chandra to 1. They attack us to 6. We untap and draw Time Stop. Okay, that keeps us alive for a turn. It also prevents our opponent from drawing a card. So stop on their upkeep. Zawarudo. Okay, we untap. Draw Sleight of Hand, which I think we actually have to duplicate Sleight of Hand. Well, if we don't have something in our top 2 cards, and it needs to be something really good. Alright. Cash in Chandra. Sleight of Hand twice. We could get Flood of Tears. I think I took Aether Spouts out of the deck. Okay, there's Flood of Tears. And Talrand or Enigma Drake. Guess I'll take Talrand. Okay. Cast Flood of Tears, and we'll make our opponent recast their whole board. Pass the turn. So, I'm not sure if it was technically better to have cast Sleight of Hand, because Flood of Tears would have made us recast Chandra anyway. They opponent plays Fauna Shaman. They play Voracious Hydra, X0, and Blanchwood Armor the Hydra. Okay. That makes sense because it has Trample. We draw an island, which means we lose. Okay. Good news is we should have sideboard for this. So versus my opponent's deck, I definitely want Volcanic Hammer. Force Spike might be the way to go, but I also want Aether Spouts. And possibly even Displacement Wave. So for those 3 cards, what do I take out? Actually, part of the problem is they had so much Toughness Pump from Coat of Arms that our burn spells were not that effective. Maybe I just bring in Aether Spouts over, like, Baron, maybe? Try it like this. We'll play first. Okay, I do like this. We will keep. If my opponent decides to go tall on a creature with Blanchwood Armor again, we do have Dungeon Geists to lock it down. Spectral Sailor is also very nice, potentially giving us a draw engine and sort of an early clock. Okay, thanks for letting me know, Moto. Start by playing an island, pass the turn. Okay, opponent untaps. They play a forest. Flash in Spectral Sailor. We untap. Draw Harbinger of Tides. Play an island. Get in for 1. I have to say that not having your opponent go turn 1 Dork into turn 2 Archdruid shows that their deck is actually a lot slower in the average case. They get a Thorn Lieutenant, which if we Harbinger, will give them a token. Or if we Dungeon Geist, that will also give them a token. Okay. Attack for 1. No sense on playing anything else right now. Can't cast anything, nothing with flash. Okay, we take 2. Go to 18. Opponent passes, we draw island, play island. Go to combat. Attack for 1. Leave up all of our mana. We are going to take the hit from Thorn Lieutenant first. I could unsummon to prevent it, but if I'm going to unsummon Thorn Lieutenant, I want to do it on my opponent's end step. Voracious Hydra. Okay, that's a creature I will probably tap with Dungeon Geists. When it goes to combat, gets in. Kind of sad we couldn't draw any cards off of Spectral Sailor, but we needed to do something this turn. Because my opponent used their mana pre-combat main, I can do this now and prevent the damage from them attacking. Yes, I will use its ability. Okay. We untap. We draw. Another island. Play the island. Play Dungeon Geists. Tap down the Hydra. Go to combat and attack for 2. Opponent goes to 15. Okay. They untap, they play a forest. They play a Mana-Gorger Hydra into a Thorn Lieutenant. So we draw an island. Whenever a player casts a spell, put a 1/1 counter on it. I think what we do... I don't think I want a Flood of Tears. I might want to. I think we're better off attacking with Dungeon Geists this turn and casting Rain of Revelation on my opponent's end step. Because if we can get an Aether Spouts, we would much rather cast that. And if all else fails, we can always Flood of Tears in next turn. Unless my opponent casts an Overwhelming Stampede, in which case we're super, super, super dead. But with a Mana-Gorger Hydra out, they are incentivized to play spells pre-combat. Garruk Wildspeaker. Okay. Untap their lands. They are going to go for the overrun. When it goes to combat, they attack. We take 5. No blocks. Okay, on their end step. Rain of Revelation. Hydra gets a counter. We draw a Time Stop, which is effectively a Time Warp for us. We untap. We draw Mountain. Play an island. Go to combat. Attack our opponent for 5. Kind of hoping they ult Garruk and swing out, and then we can Time Stop to fog and kill Garruk effectively. Then we can hit our opponent for 5 and flood. Okay. Opponent untaps. They're casting a big spell this turn. Overwhelming Stampede. Okay. I believe now is the time to stop. So Mana-Gorger Hydra gets a counter, and then we stop the turn. I could have let them attack first. And then the creatures would be tapped. Not sure it matters too much, though. Okay, go to combat. Attack our opponent for 3. Then we flood. Okay, pass the turn. Opponent plays a forest. Replays Mana-Gorger. And replays Thorn Lieutenant. Okay, they're holding onto their Hydra that fights. That makes sense, because logically we would play Dungeon Geists first. We draw Teferi, Master of Time. Play Teferi. Mana-Gorger gets a counter. We're going to loot. Discarding an island. Pass the turn. Let's see how our opponent attacks before we make any other decisions. They're going to Blanchwood Armor, Mana-Gorger. Okay. They go to combat. They attack us and attack us. Okay. Loot with Teferi. Get Talrand, I'll discard a mountain. Flash Harbinger of Tides. Mana-Gorger gets a counter. And then the plan is to unsummon Mana-Gorger. Please. No, I was going to say please don't have a Ranger's Guile. Alright, so pretty sure that means we're dead exactly. I guess I didn't need to loot first. Yeah, alright, there's nothing I can do. I should have left up Phase Out in response. But, so I kind of threw that match. Oh well, I'll see you guys in round 3. Alrighty, welcome back to round 3 of our Blue-Red Time Warp whatever deck. Alright, let's get this started. I think this is a fine hand. Memory Lapse is usually pretty punishing on the play, so... This is Memory Lapse is a card I never want to see printed in Modern, ever. I never want to see it become modern legal. I'll do mean things to people if it is, but I never want to see it become a thing. Well, if this is against a control deck, the longer our opponent gives us, the better. Cloudkin Seer. Alright, put that back on top. Untap. Pass the turn. Now if my opponent replays it, we get to spend our turn playing Stormwing Entity. Okay, they do get to draw a card. We draw a mountain. Play Stormwing Entity, we'll get to Scry. Rain of Revelation, and an Enigma Drake. I like Rain, I'm going to put Drake on the bottom. Pass the turn. Okay, opponent has a Sky Scanner. They draw another card. They did not find a land, so they have to discard at the end of their turn. Discarding Nexus of Fate. Nice. Okay. Play Rain of Revelation, get a Prowess trigger. Wow. Okay. Discard an island, play an island, go to combat and attack for 4. Get our opponent to 17. Opponent untaps, they do find their 4th land. They play Talrand's Invocation. So it seems like this might be a good time for Flood of Tears to basically undo that, even though it will give my opponent 2 more redraws. We do get a time stop. I think I'm going to pass and try and use time stop as either a fog or a counter spell if they cast something pre-combat main. Remorseful Cleric. Time stop. Nice. Untap. Draw Mountain. Alright, I would like to, I guess I can Flood of Tears into cast Stormwing Entity now. I have enough mana for that. Play Stormwing Entity. Get to Scry. Talrand and Searing Spear. I really like both of those, actually. I'm going to put them both back on top. We have lands to play for the next couple of turns. I wish one of those was a card advantage spell, really. But my opponent shouldn't be able to, like, completely dump their hand here. Okay, opponent plays Muyan Ling. Upticks on Stormwing Entity. We untap. I put those back in the wrong order, but I'm kind of thankful that I did, because now I can actually kill Muyan Ling. Can I wait a turn to do that? No, because they are going to... they're going to play flyers for blockers, so... Ah! Well, that sucks. Because now we're top decking a mostly dead spell in the form of Talrand. I could have waited, but I think it gets worse for me if I do. Okay, opponent plays a land. And a Cloudkin Seer. They get to draw. And a Sky Scanner. They get to draw. I'd really like to draw our Chandra. Should be really good right here. Play a mountain. Might as well resolve this while they don't have like counter spells or anything up. Pass the turn. If we could start drawing like Time Warp, Nexus of Fate, that sort of thing, this would be quite good. Opponent upticks on Talrand. Plays a Phantasmal Image on Talrand, and I now regret my life. Something with Condemn. Oh, Triplicate Spirits. Okay. Opponent gets in for 2. That's fine. Okay, we untap. Well, it's a little late, Chandra. I think I'm gonna hide the rest of what I have here. Now, how do we set this up for an advantage? Probably want Aether Spouts versus my opponent. They don't tend to play individually powerful creatures, so Persuasion may not be as good as Aether Spouts. The sorcery speed interaction just seems like it's less good. They do have a lot of tokens, so Displacement Wave also has some real utility here. But I don't know what I'm going to put in. I guess I could take out Quicken. It's kind of memey, even though it is a cantrip. Actually, I think I want Quicken, because I think the like prowess synergies and Talrand and stuff, we actually do want cheap cantripping removal. think I'm going to cut Flood of Tears, because I'm not sure it would resolve. Even though I do like the board wipe aspect of it, we're never putting anything onto the battlefield with it. I think Aether Spouts is just better. Even though Flood of Tears hits all non-land permanents, so does Displacement Wave. We'll play first. This is a much better hand, but it requires red mana. I think I'm going to mulligan. Okay, this I can work with. I will keep. I'm going to put back Displacement Wave. We are going to start with Sleight of Hand. I can flash Spectral Sailor anytime I'm not playing Remove Soul. And I kind of like taking Chandra here just because Planeswalkers feel excellent in this cube. Okay, opponent plays an island. We play a mountain. Pass the turn. Okay, opponent plays a Plains into a Remorseful Cleric, which I'm not that worried about. Remorseful Cleric dies immediately to a Chandra, so we'll flash Spectral Sailor here. Untap. Draw an island, play an island, pass the turn. No attacks. Okay. Opponent attacks for 2. We take 2. We untap. We draw Time Stop, play an island, go to combat. Attack for 1, see if we can force some interaction here. My opponent hasn't played a counterspell at all, so let's try landing Chandra. Okay, there's the negate. Okay, so opponent has negate. And negate is in this cube. Okay, they play Plains, go to combat, attack for 2, we go to 16, and we untap. We draw Mu Yanling, go to combat, attack for 1, set our opponent to 18, try and resolve Mu Yanling. I don't think it's likely that they have a lot of counter spells. So shrink the Remorseful Cleric, pass the turn, leave up Remove Soul. And they did not have a big flash threat, which I'm very thankful for. Oh, the value. It's so good. We need to draw land, though. Teferi is not bad. So shrink the Cleric. Play Teferi while they're tapped out. I'm going to plus him to loot, but I'm not getting rid of Time Stop, even for a land. Attack for 1. I will also loot on my opponent's turn because I want him to have as much loyalty as possible. But we can wait until the end step, in case we need to phase out. Like if my opponent had a Celestial Destiny or something like that. How rude. He can only phase out creatures. Okay. Loot with Teferi. Discard a mountain. And we do not have an answer to that confiscate, unfortunately. I'm glad my opponent did not tick up for alt, though. Okay, we untap. We draw Harbinger. I kind of want the spells in my hand, but I feel like I need to loot. Okay, we can discard a Quicken. Pass the turn. At least we can flash Harbinger to deal with the token. Opponent plays a land. Just makes another token. They go to combat. Attack Teferi, attack Teferi. So flash in Harbinger. I theoretically should have declared blocks beforehand. Isn't that a guarantee Teferi takes no damage? Opponent is going to copy a creature token, bounce Teferi, counter Harbinger. In that case, we can phase out this token, nullify one of the abilities anyway. Now, do I block? No, I don't think I block. Okay, we untap. We draw Shipwreck Douser. We can use that to get back an instant or sorcery. If I play out Teferi, he's just going to die. I think I play out the Douser. And we will pick up Sleight of Hand. That Confiscate was brutal. Confiscate was also way stronger than Persuasion, and by like a lot. being able to hit any permanent. So my opponent is attacking for 10 this turn. I would like to draw Displacement Wave or an Aether Spouts, but we need to draw land as well, off of like a sleight of hand or something. I want to blaze a Sky Diamond. We untap. Draw Lightning Strike, which I don't think does anything. So we'll start with a sleight of hand. There's a Talrand. It's a little late. Take an island. Play an island. Go to combat. We attack for 4, because this can't block anything my opponent is currently doing. Next turn, we have to block and Lightning Strike, and we don't get to draw anything off of Spectral Sailor either. We have to block one of the elemental tokens and then Lightning Strike a Remorseful Cleric. Maybe it was too greedy plussing Muyan Ling again. Maybe I should have just downticked. That's fatal. I can't do anything about that because I can't cast Time Stop. Wow. Opponent got us. Our deck was sweet, though. Nobody can deny that our deck was sweet. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this core set draft as much as I did. I really want to do some more of this before it goes away forever, because they don't generally bring these types these ones back. But let me know if you enjoyed this one, because I definitely did. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. If you could, though, please take a minute, like the video, subscribe if you were so inclined. It would mean the world to me if you did. I usually stream Wednesdays at 6 p.m. at Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I should be back onto a semi-regular streaming schedule on Wednesdays, though the time might be earlier than usual. And yeah, I stream over on Twitch, so if you want to follow me there, that'd be a big deal for me if you did. Alright. I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye!